because we can solve them. Here's the story that I'm been kind of obsessed about. Again, it came out, the story when it came out was that this girl had been euthanized, a 17-year-old girl. Noah Pothoven had been euthanized in the Netherlands. And when I saw that, I thought, I'm going to check this. And I kept checking it because it kept appearing on these kind of offbeat websites, not saying these websites were wrong or that they're not reliable, just that they were not central, utterly reliable sites like the Wall Street Journal. Now it's out everywhere. And here's the story. Euthanasia has been legal in the Netherlands since 2001, I think. And there's an end-of-life clinic in Hague. Noah Pothoven went there, and she asked to be killed when she was 16, and they said no. They say that they can assist dying if the patient makes a clear and autonomous request, as a quote, and is enduring unbearable and unendurable suffering. And there must be no other reasonable solution, according to them. Patients have to demonstrate understanding of the consequences of what they're requesting, and doctors are required to seek counsel from an independent colleague who's not familiar with the patient. Now, the thing about this is, ever since euthanasia became legal in the Netherlands, the use of this has spread. And there are some reports that as many as half of people in the Netherlands are not euthanized, but die by terminal sedation, basically. They put them out of their misery as they're on the brink of death. And they also allow harvesting, organ harvesting, to be conjoined with euthanasia, which obviously gives a motivation to maybe hurry people along. In 2015, Dutch statistics revealed that 431 patients were killed by doctors who never asked for euthanasia. This is called termination without request or consent. Now, Noah wrote a book. She wrote a book called Winning or Learning. She was anorexic. She was not eating. She was obviously depressed. At the age of 11, she was assaulted at a school party and again at a gathering of teenagers. A year later, when she was 14, she was raped by two men in the Elderveld neighborhood of Arnhem. I would like to know more about that, why she was such an open target for this, what was going on, who was doing the raping. That might be an interesting thing to find out to preserve the life of a 17-year-old girl. She kept the violation secret for a long time, but years later, her family learned what she had endured when her mother came across a catch of letters, basically suicide notes saying goodbye. As I say, she approached the clinic without her parents' knowledge. She was told that she was too young to act without her parents' knowledge. She wrote, "They think I'm too young to die," she said, and she's 16 years old now. And she says, "I can't wait long enough to be old enough." She obviously suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and anorexia. I'm reading some of this. And she said she'd been fighting for years. She put out an Instagram post that said, "Maybe this comes as a surprise to some, given my posts about hospitalization, but my plan has been there for a long time. It's not impulsive." She said she was drained and she felt she had never been alive, but instead just surviving. Clearly, a girl in terrible distress. A lot of questions that need answering. Chief among them, why was she just being sexually molested all the time in the Netherlands? I can have my suspicions, but I'm not going to make a guess. But that would be something that people should be looking into. They should be very disturbed. And I'm going to tell you something, okay? Because again, like I know what it is to be depressed as a young person. And I will tell you that anytime a young person commits suicide, it's a mistake. Okay, that goes without saying. I mean, we're talking about a healthy person who's depressed and sad, and the reason is you just don't know what life has in store. Nobody knows. Nobody, experts, everybody, seers, people, even some of the commentators in the news do not know what's going to happen 10 minutes from now, let alone in the future. So we don't know when we're depressed, and especially a young person who has no perspective, who thinks, I remember thinking I was in the pit of hell. There was no way out when I was weeks away from transforming my life. I was at the end of a tunnel. I just didn't see the light there. And, that can happen to a young person so easily. Anytime a young person commits suicide, it's a mistake. Anytime a young person is euthanized for emotional reasons, it is murder. It is a Hitlerian task. And I say this, and I'm just going to be real honest about this. I say this as somebody who is kind of soft on the question of euthanasia in certain kinds of situations, okay? When death is inevitable, when suffering has become unbearable, when people are old and they don't want to deplete their family's resources and they know the end has come, it stops being my business at some level, right? And I understand the slippery slope. I really do. And I understand that it may be wrong. It may in fact be morally wrong. But let me tell you something. It happens every single day. I would guess every single hour. I have seen it happen with my own eyes. When doctors have fought and fought and they have lost the battle and there's nothing ahead but death and suffering, they come in and they say to you, you know, we're going to increase the dose of morphine to keep him comfortable. That's what they say. And they increase it every hour. It's euthanasia. And it happens without anybody saying anything, without anybody talking about it, but everybody knows what's going on, and it is allowed to go, to go on all the time. Some things in a civilized society, some things happen in the shadows. And, I know conservatives hate this, but conservatives are wrong about this. You know who are wrong? Jewish people are wrong about. There's not a rule that covers everything. No matter how much you think, no matter how much you reason, no matter how much you struggle, there's always an exception. There's not a rule that covers everything. And that's why I always point to Jesus saying that the woman who committed adultery should essentially be let off the hook, because I know the conservatives will say, well, if you let him off the hook, then everyone will commit adultery. Let him who is without sin throw the first stone. Let him who is in the position of suffering, of knowing the suffering is going to destroy their family, going to deplete their resources, make those decisions. They happen every day, and I'm a little bit soft on this. What we're talking about in that case is hastening death literally by hours, maybe at the most by months. And we're not talking about somebody who's feeling bad, who is suffering from depression. We're talking about the end of life, the body collapsing. It ceases to be my business, I feel like, when somebody makes that decision who's copacetic and is making it for him or herself. But again, for people who are young and are just depressed, it is always, always a mistake. You look at life and you say, what is this thing? What is this thing, life? Here we are, we're wandering around, we don't know what's going on. Life has a purpose. The purpose is written into your personality, right? It's to live out that purpose. It is to bring that person that you are given to fruition. I don't know what that fruition is going to be. I know that God had a plan for you when he made you, and it is built in, and you start to know yourself. That's why you start to learn who you are, what you want. That's why you seek what are your real desires? What are the desires that people put in you? What are the important desires, the good desires, and what are just urges that you have that are just part of your body, not part of your soul? This is the mission of life, right? And you don't know what that path looks like. It is not a path that goes from happiness to happiness. It's not always happiness that leads you forward. When you go into the army and you serve your country, you know you're going to face struggles and trials. And sometimes those struggles and trials are going to be horrific. And sometimes they're going to be, tragic. And yet you feel that this is the fruition of your life. This is who you are supposed to be. But if what a culture tells you is that you're supposed to be happy or fulfill your dreams or all your ambitions are going to become true, or that success is the purpose of your life, and anything that gets in the way of that success is an impediment and has to be put aside, you are living in a culture of death, because life, the important parts of life include suffering. They include failure. Failure is one of the most, it's one of the most instructive things that can happen to you. Nobody wants it. Sometimes people mistake the Christian idea that you have to take up your cross, and they think that means you should go look for suffering. It doesn't mean you should go look for suffering. It means you should be prepared for suffering if you follow the true path. That if you follow the path, you may meet people who are going to crucify you. Do you turn away? Do you fall silent? Do you say, oh, they're going to throw me off Twitter, I can't possibly speak the truth? That's taking up the cross of being ready to lose sponsors, to get kicked off platforms, to lose friends, is being ready to suffer for the truth and for the real thing that you are meant to do in God's eyes, not in your eyes. You don't know anything about what you're supposed to do, but God knows. And when you follow that, and when you find what that is your purpose. That's how you find your way. All right. So when they tell you that there can't be any suffering, they are taking away from you your path. They're closing off your path into yourself.